confines of the factory's east wing were no better than those below. The only difference was the horrifying brain monsters had been replaced by torrents of running water and flooded corridors. The filthy onslaught threatened to sweep any unsuspecting pony away. Clip had made it quite clear that ponies such as myself and Cherry were far less adept at moving through the industrial ruins unseen like he could. Even so, as sagging walls and rusted pipes passed us by, my mind continued to drift back to the tunnels below as I continually questioned what I'd done down there. I'd wanted to save my friends. Yet the moment Babs had convinced me she was no longer the mare she used to be, I'd snapped. I was afraid of how fast I'd done so, and I wondered that if it weren't enough for my desire to save the others, would I have still done the same? If it were me and Starsuck down there, would I have hesitated, or would the mercy happen ever even swifter? Mercy? The word felt twisted and wrong as it wound its way slowly around my turbulent mind. I didn't want to think about it too hard. Yet like some cruel joke, my thoughts constantly dragged me back there and forced me to live through the memory like I was still locked in the slow effect of SATS. Take a left here. Head across the upper refinery and you'll be back at medical. That's the way we came down originally, so Sky and Orc should be just above. Clip directed, pulling a hoof in the direction he'd indicated. Like some blind work pony, I just followed his hoof without a word. Something in my vision caught my attention and my head perked up sharply. Clip tumbled back as it did so, and I whispered a quiet apology to him as I looked about. Red bars danced in my vision, and while I couldn't tell whether they were above or below us, I didn't know they were directly ahead. What is it? Cherry asked with concern as she appeared beside me. Clip stood up on my back, pressing his hooves into my mane as he looked over my head. Something's up ahead. It's not friendly, I stated, drawing my saddle blaster. Cherry looked at me with mild curiosity, and I motioned to my nearly functioning pet buck. Without a word, she slid behind me, retrieving her hard-won golden rifle. Just ahead, the corridor opened down to another metal catwalk. After my initial groan at seeing such an environment again, I peered out to see the suspended walkway looming amidst hanging cauldrons and rattling chains. Below were the telltale channels and casts of steel mill, most of which were encrusted with hardened mill slag. With my visor still on the fritz, I was forced to rely upon my bitbuck's new functions even more. Therefore, looking to where it told me there were hostiles, I made out several shapes in the gloom amidst the machinery. I pulled on my blaster, but before I could fire there was a loud clap of thunder and a lightning flash that swiftly followed one of the ponies jumped in alarm, knocking inside a pile of scrap. Damn it, will you all be quiet? Came a frustrated whisper as the spiked armored pony at the lead twisted back to face that one that had jumped. Oh, afraid of a little lightning, are ya? Same sound added. The other raiders didn't say a word. As a large buck at the lead marched back to the startled mare and smashed his spine hoof across her face with one heavy sweep. There are some things here that I really don't want to draw the attention of. You got that fucking wretch? Raider Stallion growled, and the mare nodded as she spat blood from her muzzle. Good. Now spread out. This is where the others didn't come back from. Find me those slaves and stay fucking quiet, he hissed. And at the instructions, red bars of my UFS began to disperse. I lowered my blaster and looked back at Cherry, shaking my head. She reholstered responsibility and looked at me expectantly. On my back, I felt Clip shivering. Without a word, I motioned for us to creep our way across the catwalk before the raiders could come back and turn it into another shooting gallery. I was wondering how long it would take for them to send more, Clip stated, his tone half hopeless, half furious. It doesn't matter. We have to get back to the others and get out of here before they find out where we are. Can we still get to the passage? I asked, and Clip nodded. It's going to take Sky some time to get Orc moving though, he added, and at that, my ears fell flat. Right. She was a smarter pony than I was, I mentally sighed. Or at least she thought about the things that really matter instead of worrying whether you were justified in killing the mirror that just tried to kill and turn you into a mindless zombie. My mind added bluntly. We'll just have to give her the time she needs then, I retorted, levitating up my weapon, offering her a confident smile. Cherry levitated up her suddenly, wearing my expression bit as she could as she nodded. I just really hoped I wouldn't come to regret those words.
Can you manage with this?
Cherry asked hopefully as Sky dug through the medical supplies. The pale mirror looked fragile to say the least, but not nonetheless. Provided we can't get caught. We picked up enough painkillers to knock out a hellhound. As for the leg, she took look. She looked at the pair of old medical braces skeptically. I can make it work. That was all she had. She levitated up some of her other supplies. The assurance seemed to be more for herself than anybody else.
I'm sorry about your friend,
Ark offered weakly. Her sympathetic words cut off by once as Sky went to work. I didn't say a word about Gina. Cherry at least had the decency to think about her death respectfully. Don't talk too much. Just try and relax because this is gonna hurt, Sky instructed. Ark braced herself as the unicorn tied one of the braces to her rear leg. Her great cry made it clear that the painkillers had not yet kicked in. Sky's expression fell at the sight of her mere friend in such pain.
Clip, can you come and help?
She called and subconsciously whipped him over. I felt the small pony upon my back lurch forwards and knew he really wanted to help her. The cyborg's pain expression. I really wanted a way to spare her this pain too. Just like you saved Lucky or Babs? My mind added. The idea that the farmer was not pony I thought it was, but destroyed after the murder I just committed. My attention was swiftly redirected towards telling my small companion to stay put. However, reluctantly, Sky agreed as she glanced at his bandaged legs. She's right. You should stay off those legs until I can get a better look at them, she instructed in defeat.
What do you need?
Cherry swiftly intervened, moving up beside Sky readily. The pale mare didn't think twice at the new offer of aid as she made use of it. Hold this tightly, she instructed, and Org's next painful cries came all too soon for me to deal with. Closed back at the door nervously. At this rate, every rare in the area was going to hear us. Clip, which way is the way out of here? I asked.
There should be a tunnel down to the train lines at the far end of the warehouses, back past the class medical area.
You told me. I nodded. I'll make sure it's clear. You two just hurry. I said as kindly as I could. Clearly, the idea that readers were after us dissolved any honesty that demanded may have summoned. And both Sky and Cherry nodded. Be careful, the latter added. And with that, I made my way back out of the office. Be careful up there, okay? Stay behind my head. I instructed Clip. The idea did not seem to sit well with him.
What about you?
I designed this thing. It can take as much of a being as I can, I told him proudly, tapping a hoof on the scaled helmet. Didn't stop my visor from going on the frisk, nor a set of hungry brain monsters from trying to eat their way through, did it? My mind added snidely. Getting around those ideas was really becoming hard. Moments later, my pride was shared as something shook the whole factory, heralded by a loud boom that was far too close for comfort. My ears perked up and Clip rose as high as he could atop my back and then my neck. Oh well, so much for my safety instructions, I thought weakly.
They must have blown through the central doors. They'll be in here any moment,
he warned, pulling out his own shotgun. Part of me really hoped he wouldn't shoot me again. The idea was easier to dismiss now. Instead, I turned my attention to the darkness in the warehouse before me. Nothing but the mountains of rusted metal and silky waterfalls were visible below the sinister gaze of the Applejack mural. Yet these flashes of lightning above afforded me the briefest of glances at the warehouse's layout. A pool of rust, saturated water sat in the center. There was a large red door on the opposite side, and the rest was a cobbled mess of sharp metal scrap. We were right in the kill zone should the raiders come through the door's opposite end, and we'd have no way out. Backed up into the doorway of the office, and something else caught my ears. It was a faint mist that wore the storm, nothing like the distant explosion I just heard. Yet I had not survived this long by being deaf. I was almost glad I could still admit that as I recognized the sound of waving chains and spun around. Above me was the dark shape of a pony, almost invisible against the shadows. Even as lightning flashed through the shower roof, all I saw was a jet black figure. It was far too unlike any raider. The dark carapace armor covered the ghostly pony head to tail, almost like that of an enclave Pegasus. I raised my blaster, scanning the pony. For the wings as lightning flashed again. All I got was a glimpse of their shimmering eyes, and then it vanished. I looked for its blood on my pip buck. It seemed invisible even to my device's EFS. Seriously, what Equestria was invisible to one of these things? I thought, the feeling of somebody watching me the last time I was in here making my mane crawl. Did you see that? I asked Clef abruptly, mostly seeking for an answer that would tell me I wasn't going crazy. He opened his mouth to answer. Another bright flash and loud boom tore through the room before he could speak. And this time it was certainly not lightning. Fire erupted from the doors on the opposite end of the warehouse, and from the subsiding flames came a murderous group of ponies I knew for sure were real. The force of the blast shook the whole wall. Before I could even register my own loss of balance, the whole catwalk shook. Clip yelped as the thing reached for, and I threw myself back towards the office, grasping the edge with my forehooves as the metal frame fell away into the filthy pool below. Gosh, sis, if I ever had to stand on another one of these things again, I was really going to be pissed. Unfortunately for me, the wasteland seemed only too happy to ensure I didn't have a chance to see anything again, let alone another catwalk. The corded frame gave a metallic howl as the rest of the stairs fell and struck the wire. Several more pieces of crumbling factory wall falling into the gloom around it. Raiders ducked for cover. He didn't make them long to see me as I hung from the wall. And series of snickers and cruel laughs was all that preceded their gunfire. Clearly the idea of being quiet was no longer an issue for them. In the position I was currently in, it wasn't hard for even ponies as stupid as them to hit me. Without thought, I reached up towards the office entrance, my limbs and stomach more chaotic than the storm above as I tossed the cliff into the room with my magic. "Get to the others!" I instructed loudly, and he glanced back at me, the look in his eyes unsure. Even so, he did not look like he was willing to leave me hanging on as a perfect target. I didn't give him much of a choice as another shot struck behind as my horn flared, actually pushing him forwards before more shots could find their way into the office and hit him instead of my armor. "Go!" I screamed as I levitated up my plasma weapons and began to fire them both blindly into the room behind me. Cliff took off. While I felt more than a little cruel for being so harsh with him, I had no time for sentiment. My blind firing at least caused the raiders to duck for cover. Evidently, we could hit better than them even without seeing. Then again, their armor was not as bulletproof as mine was. Regardless, several aching bruises on my back added to those wounds I already bore, and with all of my might, I tried to pull myself back up into the office. There was a loud crack as a bullet struck beside my left forehoof and I slipped. I almost swore my life flashed by at that moment as I slid down. The muscles of my other forehoof taut with a surge of pain that caused me to scream. Seriously, how many times can you damage your limbs before finding a doctor? My mind asked me as I winced. "Ha ha, gotcha now," came a sickeningly joyful voice. Once again, adrenaline took hold of me, even if its effects were far more exhausting than before. I pressed my rear hoofs into the wall and frantically tried to regain my grip. The raiders below me didn't allow me the luxury as several bullets hit the skills over my back. And as they laughed, I knew that even dragon skills could not take many more shots. It was very clear that they were going to make this slow and painful. I assumed that if the fall didn't kill me, or that they had in store for me would be even slower. Then a sudden whoosh cut past me, and I saw nothing but black birds. One of the raiders fell lumpily into the water, and others began to cry a fit of curses as they darted back for cover. "Shit! Spread out! I have some pony finish that one up there now!" Came the voice I vaguely recognized as that of the larger stallion I'd seen in the refinery room before. All I could think was saving my own hide as the sounds of gunfire not aimed for my rear began to chime. All but one gunshot. I crack of Cliff's shotgun was mixed with a cry of my name as Sherry ducked for cover and grabbed my hoof. The pony, who I soon was about to finish me off, fell into the water with a splash of Sherry's magic reinforced the grip and slowly pulled me up into the office. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think we have to move now, I exclaimed with relief, my mind only now realizing just how close I had just been to death just. That was when I realized exactly where I was laying. Cherry had fallen back into and now was sitting directly atop her, my lungs demanding more breath than my gasping could provide. Okay, this is awkward, but damn it, brain. It's not the time for hot, sexy thoughts about the mayor you can't deny is incredibly cute. I staggered back with blushing furiously under my helmet. In fact, the only thing preventing my embarrassment was from sending me back over the edge was a bullet striking the wall. Fucking damn, you got to find us a way around, came the voice of the leader of Raider Stallion. I had a nagging frustration that he'd been the one to try and finish me off. At that moment, there was another bang as Cliff took another shot. Raiders scattered like cockroaches. Yet, as I looked at Cliff propped up against the doorframe wall with shivering limbs, I suspected that he was not the one causing so much chaos. Whatever the dark pony that had set their sights upon the raider was, they did not seem to have any problem as they plucked individual ponies off right and left. Those that survived shot blindly into the darkness as if their attacker was a ghost. There's no such thing as really brain didn't matter anymore. The only thing the black armored ponies seemed to give them was a swift death as they began dropping dead in the water with no sound other than a splash. Looking back and bracing myself against the door, I swore I could see the flash of green eyes amidst the dying shadows. Of course, I knew one thing was for sure. The Illusions did not kill ponies like that. Not even once created by my sick fuck of a mind. But hey, at least I wasn't going crazy enough to hallucinate things like that. None of my companions seemed to notice that silent death pony, however. Right, we need to leave, I stated again. That seemed more directed at my easily distracted brain than any pony else. That's the plan? And looking at Clip as I backed up from the firefighters, I levitated him onto my back. My legs gave a painful twinge as his extra away, and I winced. Cliff steadied his shotgun and his scrubbing hose as I turned back into the hall.
The elevator. Without those stairs, it's the only other way down. But I don't know if it works, he explained.
I nodded, and a moment later, found out just how right he was as I pulled the crooked doors apart with my magic and stared down at the rest of the shaft. You know I wasn't aware of this idea while jumping down elevator shafts, Sky muttered as she eyed the darkness below. You have a better idea? I asked, instead of finding in the background the only real emphases my words needed. A set of metal cables trailed down the center of the shaft. A few meters below, the open roof of the elevator car itself sat crooked. Sky gave me a stern look, or I simply shook it off. Look, I found him, and all of us can use our magic to levitate each other down, I suggested, motioning to myself, then Sky, then Jerry. Scarlet Steffo looked and changed.
Why, you can barely walk,
she stated, pulling a hoof at my nearly crippled limbs. My legs have nothing to do with my horn, I countered swiftly. Then before I could respond, the sober mare was shoved forwards. She screamed for a short moment, and instinctively my magic flared. As did Jerry's. The shaft lit up, and there was a soft metal moan as the slow, glowing telekinesis lowered her softly to the top of the elevator. Moments later, she let out a growl that told us some pony was really about to get some stern words. We all looked back to see Orc trembling. One hoof outstretched as she leaned against the wall and took several breaths.
Functioning horn or not, you were never going to get her moving like that,
she muttered with a weak smile.
I swear, you did that to me again now. Oh, Orc, I'll kill you myself,
she grumbled in frustration as she helped support her injured mare friend along the corridor, magically reducing the earth pony's sway with her telekinetic magic. Orc just smirked at the pill mare's frustration.
Well, I had to believe it would work because there was little else to believe in. Plus, I thought you liked me touching your butt, she teased.
And her cold expression made Sky blush no matter how exhausted either of them were. I have to admit, the orc mare was a bold mare. I'd have sooner jumped down that shaft myself rather than face Sky's wrath. I had to admit I had not been completely sure my magic was enough to catch her. But after that, I had no hesitation levitating the others down. Whether her whole idea of belief was real or not, it was a smart play on Orc's part. Even if I knew levitating myself would have been far harder than stopping somebody else from falling. Sky and Cherry had brought me down last. But even the soft landing had caused my wounded limbs to ache all the more. Following that, Cherry had forced me to down another healing potion. Sky reluctantly insisted of a cliff and I'd take painkillers if we were going to be doing so much moving around. I was now very glad for the latter, at least. The way Cherry had told me to take even more camps was nagging at me. Hurrying us to use them so much only brought another threat to mind. Next lesson, too many camps are bad. Don't take any unless you absolutely have to. I didn't want to think she was oblivious to that. I mostly attributed her somewhat stern actions to the fear and stress. Running away only to lose her ear and being attacked by an evil brain controlling robot pony in the basement was sure to do that same for me. The only other problem was that I really hated thinking so little of her. I was still unsure if she'd heard about what I uncontrollably muttered about her being so important to me. But with the way she'd asked me not to lie to her anymore, I could only assume that she had. Then there was the idea that I was once treating her so much like a fool. That knocked another frail spur out from under my already turbulence and morality. She'll be a service cell just ahead, then ramp down in the train tunnels. I have no idea what might be down there, Cliff warned, and looked back at him atop Cherry's head. The pink bear had been just as happy as I was to carry him around. Yet the idea that I wasn't really strong enough to do that and fight anymore made that pit inside me just as much deeper. I looked back at them and nodded, trying to look past Cherry's concerned gaze and not focus on the managed dump off her ear. How do you know they're not flooded? It's been raining non-stop out here, there, Sky asked. If it is, then we watch our backs and wait. I offered as Cliff struggled to answer her. Clearly, he wasn't one to disappoint his friends, even if he didn't know what to tell them. I knew my reasons were far less noble as I took the chance to think about something other than my pink friend. Most prominent than my Mylan Decider and the others was the whole thing involving my miracle Pip-Buck, killer cult of crazy ponies, and the idea of my failing ability to distinguish monsters from victims. Most of my ideas involving any of those things were hopeless as of yet, especially the idea of who was actually deserved to die and who didn't. Other than that, the only other thing that came to mind was the ghost pony I'd seen in the warehouse. That glimpse again made it clear it was at least equine. Despite my mind wishing to make several connections between it and my miracle Pip-Buck, it wasn't much of a viable correlation. If they were connected, why had it saved us from one danger with science hacking skills at one moment, and another with a swift and silent deadly attack? And we had one of those darkly armored ponies that I'd seen in the labs. Yet the Transcendent seemed to want me dead, not saved. That looked only coincidence. I didn't believe in such things as that. Regardless, the idea made my head spin almost as much as my stomach. My survival was my sin pushed far away from my focus as we reached a break in the long metallic corridor. To the right was a large metal door. The words, Subway Access Tunnel 245, etched into the metal below a set of levers. A nod from Cliff confirmed this was the right way, and I reluctantly looked at Cherry. Can you get it open? Despite her concerns, I knew the chance to prove herself and her most esteemed set of skills was something she couldn't help but smile at. Even if her current smile was far smaller than what I'd have hoped. She tried forwards, then clipped down from beside her and set to work. Ark leaned against the wall, hearing another flurry of intention from Sky. I simply leaned against the opposite wall and tried to ignore all the things wrong with me as I waited. Fortunately, it wasn't long until the door clicked open and Cherry peeked through. There's water. The coast looks clear, she called back as Cliff climbed back onto her back. Good. The sooner we get through this, the better. She retorted as she helped Orc back up straight and once again wrapped the Earth Pony in the cradle of light telekinesis. I waited for them all to go through, backed up the door, and then paused. Despite how much it unnerved me, There were a great many things I was beginning to love about my new pit-buck. I spun around, slipped into SATS, and sending a blast of magical energy into the raider opponent's face before he could even draw his weapon. He fell down with a cry of pain as two more clattered over him. Way! Neither of them called out. Yet it was too late for as I melted her face right off and instantly turned the Cell Blaster to the third raider. He stood motionless in the corridor. His coat was sickly green and his mane an equally stained yellow. His eyes were far closer to that color than the natural one as he grinned. I really don't think y'all want to go that way, he warned. And I knew from his voice this was the ringleader of the bunch again. Yeah. Well, I really don't think I want to stay here with you either, I retorted. The trouble you'd cause me, probably not. Trust me. It's better if I kill you all and get it over with than for you to go into that city for the rage to get you. He added with an unnerving voice. It was almost as if he meant that as more of a true warning than simply a raider's mad threat. He was really afraid of the city. He wasn't just completely crazy. It didn't save him from me, however, and I opened fire. He jumped aside. From the restricted space, there wasn't really anywhere for him to go as the energy beams turned most of his front charred toast and he fell onto the floor. Still loud curses followed as I stepped back into the door. "Ya f***ing bitch! I hope they find you there." He was dying from it was cuffed by a sharp whistle. Something sharp punched clean through his neck. There was nothing but a burst of blood and a gargle of breath from his corpse. I stiffened and watched as a dark armored pony emerged from the gloom and stepped into view. No wings, a strange star symbol, the side of a brain latched onto the side of their head. He looked like a buck too, and a year's worth of experience telling me that about his rather sleek form, even though the faceless armor. I noticed the dark purple mane and the horns through a knee gaps in the car's pace. My analysis stopped as those green, satiated eyes looked at me. I trained my weapon on him. He did no more than stare at me. That was when there was a loud crack and a flash as a bullet struck the wall behind him. I jumped back into the tunnel and see Cherry levitating responsibility right behind me. When I looked back into the tunnel, he was gone. And so was the blooded corridor as the force of telekinetic magic dragged me back and the door slammed shut. "You alright?" Cherry asked urgently. And for one, it looked like it was her who was fine. The urchin embraced me. I glanced between her and the door before nodding slowly. Sure. Why wouldn't I be?" I said sheepishly. My tone did give away to that lie if my shivers were not. I knew she saw right through my lies. I also knew she was too afraid to say she knew of my deact as she turned and levitated clip back onto her back. Giant orc stood a little further down the dripping tunnel, and in the light of the former's horn, I could see the shimmering of water. I took one last glance at the door, and side of my mind asked me the simple question: why wouldn't I be? Footnote, level up. Your perk added, Guardian Angel. No matter what, the goddesses must want somebody to make sure you don't die. You gain +1 luck when you are without any party members, and there is a small chance that mysterious stranger may come to your aid in a fight.